Test. Okay, we should be good now. Hello. Welcome to the stream. It is Thursday, roughly at 8 p.m., which means it is time for another live stream. Because we just do these now. Welcome in. We just do these on Thursdays, and honestly, it's always good when we do these on Thursdays. I feel like when we don't do these on Thursdays, and by we I mean when I don't get a stream in, it's just a bad day all around. I've only missed one day, and that was because of we're going to call it quite literally an act of God. How's everyone doing in chat? How is everyone doing in chat today? I'm doing great, in case everyone was wondering. This is the topic of today's stream was once again, this is going to be physical versus non-physical magic. I'm calling it physical versus mental magic because mental magic has a actual meaning. Thinking about it, I'm going to capitalize that M. There we go. Welcome in, everyone. Yeah. So, because this is a much more relaxed kind of thing, this is Rimworld, in case you were wondering, which we're just going to have a nice, relaxing colony building stream. That's what we're gonna do. Time because Iron Man is dead. I have a good stream. I have to sleep now, but we'll look forward to watching this when I wake up. Jake Smith, hope you enjoy what sounds like the mic volume is lower than normal. Okay, give me. How about now? Are we good on the mic? Yeah, I was having some issues with the mic earlier, so I noticed that the mic was having some problems, so I might have to check into that afterwards. Are we good now? Everyone hear me properly? Not, I will need to all good at this end for the most part. Yeah. Hopefully that... Alright, that's better? Cool. I wanted to make sure. In case you want to... I feel like this is the only appropriate seed to use. Yeah. So the topic of today's stream is going to be physical versus non-physical magic. I fully expect to go completely off the rails, because that is what happens on these streams, as we have all come to accept and appreciate at this point. I feel like it's not really a Thursday stream if I don't go off the rails at least a little bit. It's been a while since I've... So yeah. And just to establish terms a little bit here, what I mean by physical versus non-physical is magic that is basically all in your head versus magic that actually has, like, strong physical components to it. When I say strong physical components, I do mean they've got to be really strong physical components. These need to be like a focus or like a dedicated... You need to put them on like a dedicated altar or like a dedicated shrine type of thing. You need a dedicated physical location set up for this kind of magic. Versus magic you can just sit in your bed and just mentally project and go into the astral and have like fun times in the astral. That's the major difference between these is going to be one has a massive physical component, the other doesn't. Now, I'm not going to lie to you, there is a sliding scale between physical and non-physical that we will get into, at least at some point, if I can remember. Hopefully we do. Because it's always interesting to see the physical versus the non-physical. And we're just gonna play as mole people. I'm just gonna roll until I get somebody who actually is good mining. So yeah. When it comes to physical magic, I feel like everyone kind of knows. I feel like everyone kind of sort of knows a little bit about physical magic. When it comes to things like talismans and things like, you know, ritual implements, right? Ritual implements are going to be kind of high up there, I'd say. Kind of high up there. You know what I mean? We're going to create a custom. Christian ideology. Just start with more people. Yeah, so talismans and experience with servitors. I'm not a fan of servitors. Not a fan of them. That being said, I know of ways to make servitors better that I just don't use, because if I'm going to employ a spirit, I'm going to employ a actual spirit. I'm not going to make one 9 times out of 10. Though, should mention, servitors are useful and have their place. I just don't use them. They're not my forte. I don't like using them, and they're just kind of a thing that I'm not really interested in. I will be perfectly honest. Not that they're like a problem, it's just that I don't like them. Yeah, make of that what you will. Not a mental spirit, I guess you. Yeah, no. So servitors and thought forms specifically. Thought forms, servitors, that kind of thing are actually going to be quite important when it comes to knowing how mental magic kind of sort of works. Going to get collectivist, human supremacy. Where is human supremacy? Yep, human supremacy. Sec. I think darkness, and the last one we want. There. Servitors are going to be. Alright, so servitors are going to be like a kind of thought form type of thing. And it's tunneler. And when it comes to, how servitors work, that's a whole nother thing. That servitors deserve, as a concept, their own video. But looks like War Crime Simulator today. We're using Phoebe Chillax. This is going to be a very, very relaxed stream. Very, very relaxed, if possible. Remove the child labor. Yeah. I'm going to try to avoid my typical Rimworld things of going ahead and doing the absolutely most insane thing we possibly can. Just because, we're going to try to. Yeah. Now, when it comes to going through and classifying these, I'm just going to say this now. Anything astral counts as non-physical. That shouldn't surprise anyone. However, I feel like a lot of people might not realize that that is in fact a thing. What I mean by that is astral magic is not going to be physical. And astral magic, for those of you who don't know, is when you literally do something in the astral and that ends up... Fruit done. It's going to be one of those things where you're going to do it and it's going to be more or less... It's just going to work through the most insane methods possible. I'm not going to lie. It's going to be absolutely insane. Yeah, sure. Why not? Yeah. Like, astral magic in and of itself is going to be the most, like, the primo example of non-physical magic. Up there with servitor. And the reason why we're doing this kind of talk all about them is because it is important to know that oftentimes non-physical magic will work better than physical magic. In every case that you are not trying to manifest something in the physical world. If you are trying to manifest things in the physical world, this immediately flips and becomes completely different. Because it'll flip into, if you're trying to do something non-physical, you don't want to be doing physical magic. It's kind of like a like... It's a like meets like situation in that regard. So make of that what you will. When it comes to... Oh, did I accidentally roll 2 psychopaths? That's a problem. Sure. Could you give an example of a non-physical situation you would influence? A non-physical... Okay. Let's say you want to influence... I'm trying to think of a good one. Alright, I'm just gonna go for this. Hypothetically speaking, you want to manipulate your memory. You want to manipulate your memory so that you don't have any you don't remember your favorite show. That would be non-physical magic. So you can see it for the first time. That is the kind of thing we're talking about. Right? I really... Going to be a very strange game. Yeah. Okay. Cool. I do. So that kind of thing would be a non-physical situation. Situations where the target is not a physical entity, right? So money spells would be... The result of a money spell would be a physical thing. Therefore, that would not actually fit in terms of, yes, we're going through and we're trying to manifest something physical. That wouldn't count. But for things like, I am trying to manipulate an idea or thoughts, those would be non-physical. Now, you're not always going to want to use those kind of things. You're not always going to want to do that. Like, glamour spells are usually considered non-physical, I would say. Anything to do with a spirit would be non-physical as well. And when it comes to what is going to happen when you start, like, you know, when you start going ahead and doing the magic this way, any form of, like, work with the spirit is going to work better if you're actually going ahead and doing, like, a full-on evocation instead of using a tarot deck. I know some people use a tarot deck. I've had no personal experience. That being said, as I mentioned on the community Discord earlier today, or no, not earlier today, earlier this week, do what works for you. Just because I say something, if you've had experience and you've found something that I say doesn't works for you, keep doing it. My word is not law. My word is not the gospel truth, okay? Keep that which I'm just some guy. I'm just some guy who occasionally has correct opinions. Welcome in, Hermeti Flux. I'm just setting up some quick mining assignments. The reason why we're playing Rimworld is because Rimworld basically plays itself. I can just talk about things. Yeah. But when it comes to, like, physical implements, you're going to notice that there is a radical difference between doing something with, like, a physical implement, like a candle, versus a symbolic implement, like a sigil, right? And I hope people understand that one. I have a problem with a few neighborhood dogs coming into my yard, harassing my cat. Did a candle spell Saturday to banish... did a candle spell to banish... What would you recommend? I would probably recommend allowing the candle spell to just kind of manifest. That's what I would personally recommend. Because if you can allow the candle spell to, like, just do its thing, that's usually going to be better than if you do multiple magic. That being said, candle spells usually work pretty quick, so I would just get it out of your head if you can try. Or get a stronger fence. Like, just get a better fence, better... Because that's going to be the go-to start, is just get a really nice fence and go from there. All things considered. So, yeah. That's my advice. Yeah. Also, influencing animals is going to be like... Influencing animals is pretty easy, in my opinion. Because animals kind of... This is going to sound weird, but... Animals kind of act a little bit like spirits. A little bit. That's going to sound weird, but what I mean by that is they work in very specific ways. They do very specific things. And if you work with them for long enough, you understand how their thought processes operate. Which, I mean, you could make the same argument about people. And, like, everyone, basically. But it's just going to be a matter of, no, they're going to act the same. Like, and if you work with them, and if you work with spirits, I've noticed, if you meditate, I know... I once watched a video about, like, channeling animals. Or, like, talking to animals being, like, a magical power. And I'm not sure how true that is. But you could make the argument that it does make things a lot, like, simpler. If you, like, learn how to do that. Because it's like, oh yeah, your dog wants to go outside. And you just look at your dog and you just know. As weird as that sounds. It's... I saw a video on it, I tried it once, and it works a little bit, but, you know, animals are weird. It's gonna be insane. But yeah. I'm trying to think. Somebody brought up servitors, and this is gonna quickly poll people in the chat who have actually done work with servitors. How many people in chat, when they're working with servitors, if you have experience with servitors, actually go ahead and actually make physical physical housing for your servitors. I'm asking because I've noticed that it's rare, but it's apparently much more effective than just like having normal stuff. Which is why I'm asking. Thanks, there was a Saturnian Shem Angel that deals with animal attacks, Mikhail. I called with the appropriate song. That, yeah, they'll usually take care of it. Shem Angels are really quick. Shem Angels are super quick. A little figurine. Yeah, I did. Okay, yeah. Little figurines and stuff like that. That kind of stuff is what I'm, like, asking about. Because, generally speaking, and this is going to be my understanding, is that you're going to want to make those and this goes for all magic you want to last a while. If you have magic you want to last a while, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go ahead and you're going to want to take the time out of your day to make a physical aspect of it. And this goes for any magic that you want to last a long time. If it's a one and done thing, you can do a candle spell, and honestly, if it's a one and done, that symbolically in and of itself is going to be, symbolically you're going to go ahead and you have the symbolic representation of it's once. You can only burn a candle once and then it's done. So one and done. There you go. There's an added symbolism. I just pull it out of my ass. Because oftentimes, I'm not going to lie, sometimes I just want to do a candle spell. Sometimes I want it to get done quick. And sometimes I want it to just manifest. And I don't want to have to think about having to do 40 different correspondence, all things considered. So make of that what you will. I know that sometimes when you're doing magic, it can be like, sometimes magic has to be like complicated math. Entirety of the second book of Agrippa is just like 24 chapters of... It's like 24 chapters of math, and sometimes you just want like a quick spell. And math is... Good God. Sometimes math is great. I love math, but at the same time, I hate math. I hate math. How about that? I have not made an egregore the appropriate way. I did a quick Damien Eccles version instead of the more complex Frederick Xavier method. Frederick Xavier's method is kind of extreme. Because for those of you who don't know, and I'm not going to give the full method here, Frederick Xavier, basically, in order to make a servitor the Frederick Xavier method, you have to, you basically have to, write an entire textbook on how the servitor functions. It's absolutely insane. And then you make a sigil for it as well as, this little figurine. It is the most intensive way I've seen of making a thought form. But at the same time, I can't really fault it, because it's pretty in-depth and very comprehensive. So, I'd say... Gets my seal of approval. I've done it once, and I've seen good results with it. Well, I haven't done it, but I know other people have done it. And it usually works, and it works pretty well, but that being said, it is still very complex, surprisingly quick. Yep, Freighter was the way I learned too. Great lessons, though. Yeah, his stuff is really good. And partially he is the inspiration for, why... He will tell you something, and then, you can intuit after you develop a certain amount of, I've been doing magic a long time. Not as long as him. He's the reason I got into magic, but I've been doing magic a long time, so you learn things based on what he's saying, like, physical items have power, right? I didn't mention jewelry. I didn't mention jewelry at all. How have I not mentioned jewelry in this? Okay, so... when I mentioned earlier... I'm gonna unpause this and let my little workers do their jobs. When I mentioned earlier that you're going to want physical implements for, you know, mundane, long-lasting things, that includes jewelry, right? Everyone knows the whole thing about Solomon's ring, for example. Everyone knows... Yep, we need the bling. Everyone knows all about the amulets and the talismans and all of that stuff. That is all physical implements that take non-physical energy and convert them into an enchanted item and a magical artifact. Usually it's... I hope you're enchanting magical artifacts. If you're not enchanting magical artifacts, I don't know what you're doing. For example, I know that one time I went ahead and I ended up buying a special pen. The reason I bought the special pen was because I wanted a dedicated pen to write all of my magical documents in, right? So I went ahead, came up with a ritual, and I had a pen, and the pen cost me... It's quite an expensive pen. Like, the pen cost me, I think, like $100. That's the level of expensive pen. It came with, like, its own box, like a fancy belt-lined box. It's great, but by the way, I still have both the pen and the box, and I use the pen often because that's what I write my magical notes in and my statements of intent and all that stuff. As kind of a... You know, I did that because I got sick and tired of having to, like, find inks, and I just decided that I would consecrate a pen so that I didn't need to bother with inks, and, like, so it would just work out. You know how it is. It's, laziness is the mother of all invention type of thing. It's why we have the whole... You know, it's why we have the whole... Don't... Trying to think of the phrase. It's the reason why magical timing calculators exist, so that people don't have to calculate it by hand. That's the whole thing. That makes sense? I hope that makes sense. Sick. Oh yeah, no. One of the, like, if you're gonna get a magical pen, you should only need to get one magical pen, and you should consecrate that magical pen in the hour and day of Mercury on a really good aspected day of Mercury. I highly recommend it. Absolutely great. I love it. A wand. Yeah, really. It's basically that. It's actually been... Funny enough, I have noticed that after doing that, and, like, writing the statements of intent with the pen, and, like, writing spirit sigils with the pen, things do actually work better. And keep in mind, I did consecrate this twice, actually. Yeah, I consecrated this twice. He says fiddling with the magical pen. I consecrated it once using the greater key, if I remember correctly. A Chinese calligraphy brush? I prefer a pen because I do a lot more stuff with this. Like, I usually end up using the pen for important magical documents. And for when I need to draw spirit sigils, I don't use calligraphy in my work. Yeah. That's important too. If you're gonna you're gonna do something like ritual tools, even if they're consumable, should be consecrated. They should be consecrated just because if you are not consecrating them, they are less powerful. The reason why they're less powerful if you don't consecrate them is because you're using a mundane object to do non-mundane work. Yes, but I copy sutras. Alright, that makes total sense why you would have that then. I'd fully agree on that one. And the brush is sacred to start? Yeah, no, I would definitely agree with that. If that's what you're copying down, like, that's totally fine. That's one, totally fine, and two, that totally makes sense. I fully understand that one. But, I do not copy sutras. I don't. Nothing I do. That is a good... So, I'm not actually familiar enough with the brushes. That being said, I do think calligraphy is quite lovely. Just not something. Which goes into the whole concept of your tools should fit the purpose. Do you think Saturn in an Aquarius... do you think Saturn in an Aquarius moon could be used to decrease a social trend? I think so. If the moon is waning, then absolutely. But it depends. It depends on if, like, that social trend is, like, important. Or a political movement? Generally speaking, that's going to be dependent on the generational planets. So that's going to be hit and miss. Yeah, that one's going to be hit and miss. Generally speaking, I don't do political magic because I find the powers that be are kind of, The powers that be have not liked doing political magic since they allowed John Dee to do it. How about that? Which, John Dee stuff is the absolute epitome of using magic to manipulate the world using non-physical things. We're going to be talking about, like, the ultimate in non-physical magic. It's going to be John Dee's Enochians. Which, I am not going to be covering in depth, because Enochian is weird. Enochian is straight up just weird. Yeah. The brush can be used as a wand. Calligraphy can be seen as a form of chaos magic or sigils. I believe that, yeah. What do you say about making a decorum with spirits? I mean, you should be developing a relationship with the spirits that you're going to work with actively. If you do the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram enough, you make a relationship with the archangels of the quarters. That's just kind of a normal part of that. That's just kind of seen as normal. Which, I don't have a problem with it. I don't know why other people would. I'm more into using magic to survive political trends, yeah. Yeah, I have no desire to use magic to influence politics, because I feel like it's better to just make it so you don't need to deal with them. Can you make a relationship with the ones of the Shem? You can make a relationship with any spirit that you want. Whether that's a positive relationship or a negative relationship is completely up to you. That being said, on this channel, I am a pro-good things, anti-bad things person. I'm very much a pro-good things channel. So, make of that what you will. You can absolutely make it a relationship with one or multiple of the Angels of the Shem Hamparash, if you feel so inclined. I know a lot of people do. Happy to help. I had a disagreement with a left-hand path influencer who made a YouTube video accusing the Golden Dawn of misleading followers by inverting the Tree of Life. His arguments were the left and right columns were flipped. Oh yeah, we're doing this argument. Oh joy. So, the left and right pillars of the Tree of Life between the Jewish version and the Hermetic version are flipped. Okay? And actually, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to pause this for a second. So, for those of you who don't know, which I don't know how many of the people need to hear this, So the Tree of Life, the left and the right hand are flipped. So Gevora, which is the sphere of Mars in both systems, in the Hermetic Tree of Life, the red sphere, that, you know, that sphere of Mars, destruction, all that stuff, is on the right shoulder. Okay? That is on the right shoulder. In Jewish Kabbalah, it is on the left shoulder. Okay? Now, when you are facing the tree, right, it is the difference between if you are facing the tree and if you are on the tree, okay? So when you're facing the tree, Gevora is on the left. When you are standing in the tree, Gevora is on the right. That's the difference here. This isn't a blind, it's just a difference in the system. You gotta get your magical pen, magical paper, magical ink, magical candle on your magical desk, in your magical robes, under your magical undies, check your magical clock, and write your magical contract. You gotta ponder your magical orb to make sure. You gotta, make sure you ponder your magical orb. How could you forget the orb, skeptic? Let's say you're stuck in... how would you use magic to get out of that? Ideally, the spirits would have told me... I mean, I have protection spirits, so I wouldn't have been in that situation in the first place. Like, my spirits would have, forced me to get out, basically. So that would have gone. Doesn't matter. Does what matter? Does what side of the tree is correct matter? Yes, it does matter. It does matter because it's the difference between... It matters because it's the difference between, are you looking at the blueprint for the universe, or are you looking at the blueprint for existence and by extension yourself? That's why it matters. Yeah. That does matter. It also matters because if you know that somebody is using Gevora is on the left hand, it means that they're using the Jewish tree, which is very different from the Hermetic tree. Like, they split 400 years. Like, they split and independently developed over the course of, 600 years. They are completely different. When I work with Mars, does it matter? It does, because if you're using Golden Dawn-based rituals, you want to call Mars from the right side. Like, you want to use the correct correspondences, otherwise you get everything mixed up. You want to use the side with that the system is saying is the correct side, basically. Which side of the tree, I guess, what... Which side of the tree, I guess, what you're trying to do or accomplish? Yeah, it's... Any correlation between... Genuflection? I'm not even familiar with that word. Catholics make the sign of the cross from left to right, Kabbalistic cross, right to left. Not really. My launch. Okay, I will try that then. And out of characters. fine, Skeptic. It's all good. Example of when you were doing the LBRP, you were the Hierophant with Yakin and Boaz on the appropriate sides. Yeah, exactly. It all matters depending on, like, the ritual itself. Like, if the ritual says to do things one way, you do it that way. That's just how it is. You don't want to go ahead and just make up what you're doing, because if you do, that can cause problems in and of itself. Right? Like, you want to make sure that you're using the system as... You want to make sure that you're using the system as it's intended, more or less. I hope that makes sense. Because keep in mind, if you're doing Golden Dawn rituals and you're not doing things the way that the Golden Dawn rituals say that they should go, it's kind of like messing up the grammar. So do Venus on the left hit rather than the right? Yes. Yeah, so Hesed would be on the left shoulder, Gavor is on the right shoulder, Netzach is on the left hip, Hod is on the right hip, and Chokmah is on your left side, and Bina is on your right side. Could be edgy and use the LBRP for demons. I don't do that, please. Good lord. I've heard nothing but horror stories of people trying to make modifications to that stupid ritual. And by stupid ritual, I mean the LBRP, the ritual that, like, everyone should know how to do. Doesn't match the tarot cards? What do you mean it doesn't match the tarot cards? I mean using demons in place of demons. Oh, yeah. Yeah, don't do that. That ain't doing. That ain't a good idea. There's only been one modification. So many videos say it's all good. I mean, I have seen nothing but... Okay, that's not true. I have only seen one version of the LBRP, like a modified LBRP, that is actually functional and actually does what it's supposed to do properly. Only one. And I'm 99.9% sure that it was actually channeled or divinely inspired. It wasn't actually the Lesser Banishing Ritual, the Pentagram. Okay, thanks for your input. I will watch later. I have to do some daily work. Thanks. Happy to help. Keep in mind, like, it... And this... To tie this back to the non-physical side. The symbolism of what you're doing is important, and if you're using a system, but you're using different symbolism, it's going to completely fuck up the rituals. I think I mentioned this, but I know somebody who ended up calling up a particular planetary force through a different pentagram. Or not pentagram. What am I thinking of? I'm thinking of elementals. I know somebody who used a different hexagram than what they were supposed to for invoking a planet. What ended up happening was that planet ended up getting invoked through the wrong channels, so to speak. And it ended up causing some weird situations. If you were to use the Jewish tree, B and J would be on the wrong side. You'd be standing on the wrong... You'd be standing the wrong way between the pillars. Wouldn't match the tarot. Right. Right. That's... The tarot is based with the... The tarot is based with the Hermetic principles in mind. Like, it's based on the Hermetic tree of life, not the Jewish one. So you are 100% correct. Like that just, yeah, that's correct. That's just 100% true. Alright, yeah, the pillars are wrong because it's not based on what the pillars would be wrong because it's not what the pillars are supposed to be, basically. So yeah. You're getting attacked by fox people cannibals. Getting attacked by fox people cannibals. That's just how this game works sometimes. Oh boy. Damn. Everyone knows about the whole, like, difference between the trees, right? Like how the Jewish tree and the Hermetic tree are different. Oops, sorry. What or how would you use magic to get people to believe in something? It? That is going to depend on the situation. Not true illusion magic. You should do a video on glamour magic. Sage, if I do a video on glamour magic, that video is going to go like this. To the people who are doing glamour magic, please stop doing glamour magic because your glamours are too fucking loud. Typos, sorry Dave. It's all good, Thomas. Cannibalize the cannibals, taste their own medicine. We're trying to be good people. We're trying to be a good colony. So we're going to re-educate him. How about that? We're gonna re-educate him, make him realize that cannibalism is wrong, that kind of thing. We're gonna do. Of course, we have a doctor. Cool. Yeah, so if you wanted somebody to believe in stuff that is not true, you have two ways of doing it. You have illusion magic, and you have illusion magic, and you have, mental magic. And what you're going to want to do is based on... It's going to be based on what your goal is. So keep that in mind. You're going to be doing it based on what your goal is. And there's various ways you can do it. There's various different ways, even listed in grimoires, actually, to do it. Generally speaking, the most subtle way is going to be using illusion magic, because if somebody disbelieves an illusion, nothing happens. Really? If you do mental magic and you, paraphrase, fuck it up, people are going to realize it was you, and they're going to be really pissed. And let me tell you, it is easier to fuck up mental magic than, or fuck up mental influencing magic than it is to get it right. I had no clue about the difference in trees. I knew where you are on the tree specifically when doing the LBRP, but I didn't realize the sides were flipped. Yeah, they're actually flipped. Fun fact, they're actually, like, completely different. Like, they're you know, they're based on the same thing, right? They're based on, like, the whole Jewish tree came first, and then it was adapted by... let's see if I can remember my cult history. I believe it was Ficino, and then Agrippa took it over, basically. Move to another country. What's the difference between mental or illusion? The difference between mental and illusion is the difference between memories and false memories. And I'm just gonna leave it at that. How would someone know it was you if they didn't believe in that stuff? Oh, they'll fucking know. They'll fucking know. Here's why. You don't need to believe in magic for magic to work. Magic will work regardless. But you also don't need to believe in magic to know that somebody is doing magic targeting you. So yeah. Transferring my Spanish to Latin is easy peasy, but Hebrew ain't sticking. Yeah, what's the phrase? I know Occultist Hebrew, which is just enough to read like angel names. And if you show me Hebrew, I am barely going to know how to pronounce it. But if you show me an angel name, if it adds an, like, Aleph Lamed at the end of that, oh, absolutely, I will know. I will absolutely know how to pronounce that angel name. Trust me, I will be able to figure it out within, like, 5 minutes. Not even. Okay, we are low food, so that means I need to... People not... Ah, that's a problem. How do you know if somebody is doing mental magic on you? If you have thoughts that don't normally make sense to you, like if you are constantly analyzing your thoughts, and you have a thought that doesn't make any sense, that might be somebody doing mental magic on you. Now, oftentimes people won't, like, consciously do mental magic. But it's going to be a case of, if you're doing mental magic, you don't need magic to implant false memories into people, gaslighting, hypnosis, and stuff like that. Gaslighting isn't real. What do you mean? Hypnosis you can implant false memories with, but gaslighting isn't real. This is, of course, a joke. But yeah. Yeah, you know people are doing mental magic on you because you will have thoughts that are not yours, and to quote Carl Jung, people don't have ideas, ideas have people. And if you have ideas that don't make sense for you to have, it's possible that those ideas came from somebody else. So yeah. It's kind of weird as that is, because it's a weird concept, I will fully admit. It's a fairly weird concept that not all, like, that people don't have ideas is a weird concept, I will. Like, randomly fantasizing about somebody you didn't see in that way before, because I think this has happened to me. Well, yeah, if you randomly fantasize about people, like, if you randomly start thinking about somebody in a specific way that is generally more favorable to them, it is possible that they are doing that. the person did chaos magic, that person 100% did mental magic on you. I'm not joking, but I know you're joking when you say gaslighting isn't real. What do you mean? Gaslighting isn't real. He says, knowing that that is a joke. No, but like, alright. You could do those things. Those very horrible things. Or you could just, like, light a candle. Lighting a candle is totally fine. Also, Sage, it's important to note that sometimes, if you know somebody doesn't do magic, or you think they don't do magic, and you still have those thoughts, like those kind of like, you just start thinking about them for no reason whatsoever, and they just kind of like pop into your head. It's possible that they are thinking about you so much it works like that anyways. Would untargeted love magic count? No, that's different. That's different. What we're talking about is more akin to targeted love magic, which hopefully everyone here knows you shouldn't do. I had to talk with somebody the other day who was picking up candles, and they were like, oh, should I get this pink candle? And I just told them straight up, nothing good has ever come from doing magic using pink candles. Very rarely has any good magic happened because of pink candles. Grew up going to Catholic church, didn't know we did so much candle and incense magic. Well, yep, Catholic Church really is, church-sanctioned magic, really. Would the appropriate planetary hexagram ritual be beneficial to do before conjuring planetary energies into crystal Trithemius? Just read Seven Spheres by Rufus Ophis, but haven't actually started the practice yet. I would say yes. Yeah, I would say Flux, that would actually be quite good, because that would get you to have a more conducive space for the planetary archangels. If you were going to do that method. Even the color of the priest robes change with the seasons, essentially. Yeah. Okay. You'd be surprised how much magic happens, like in regular, everyday situation. Church magic is magic in denial. I wouldn't say it's in denial, but when you do it, it's called magic. When they do it and it works, it's called a miracle. My morals go against will-bending stuff like targeted love spells. Back in February, I made it a point for making... There was like a written guide all about love magic. And I straight up list the details of why you shouldn't do targeted love spells. And I 100% stand by the fact that you should not do targeted love spells. Okay, cool. So, fortunately, I have these guys harp now. Otherwise, everyone is going to starve. Now I get to do manual priorities. Cool. I don't know the tree. I know a smattering of Eastern magic and traditions. Want people to, like... Yeah, I don't do Eastern magic. I have friends who do Eastern magic. And it seems to work out for them, but it's not for me. It is not for me. Make that what you will. Couldn't a pink candle correspond to the common conception of romantic love? Oh, it could. I guess I should adjust my statement. Almost nothing good has come from using pink candles. I know some people have actually used pink candles to great success, but at the same time, very rarely have I seen many good things happen because people were using pink candles for things. Unlike the previous statement, this one is only half a joke. It is surprisingly infrequent. It's surprisingly rare when it comes to how useful and how good those things tend to work. What about pink candles for self-love spells? That would absolutely work perfectly. That would work. That is probably like the one exception to my doom saying about pink candle spells. That would I think would actually genuinely work really well. That's a good idea. Genuinely. That would work really well, all things considered. Sorry I asked, but what's the game again? This is Rimworld. The game is by the way, the game is always listed in the description of the video every time. Like the description of the game. I had this game, I had to stop playing because I would play it too much. Yeah. Yeah, I wanted to take a quick break from the action-packed boomer shooter games, the retro FPS games. You probably already mentioned this, but how would one get started with mental magic? If you have bad thoughts, you ignore them. And that is already on the path of mental magic. Welcome in, Lizzie Poo. Rimworld, I checked the description, maybe I missed it, sorry. It should be Rimworld. Did I not update the description? I thought I did. Is it weird to suck at drawing unicursal hexagrams? No. No, that's not weird at all, actually. It was multiple very long years before I was actually competent at making unicursal hexagrams, in my opinion. Where do thoughts come from? The mental plane of existence. Thoughts come from the realm of ideas. And the problem is that the realm of ideas is very closely linked but also separate from the spirit plane. So they both do and do not come from places that spirits live. In a weird way. We're just eating raw rice now because the priorities are wrong. To actually, like, go ahead and fix the... He's the guy. Yeah, no. When it comes to unicursal hexagrams, I don't think anyone is actually good at writing, like, at drawing them. But yeah. Really hard for me to not dwell on bad thoughts. The first step in mental magic is literally just kicking those out of your head. Straight up. Just kick them out. Having a bad thought? Kick it out of your head. Charge it rent. Force it to be a good, upstanding thought. Yeah. The reason I asked about illusion magic is because I want to remake my life somewhere else. The problem is the type of being... Help my bastards and I mean, you don't need to use illusion magic. You can just steal away on that. You can literally just use the steal away on. It'll work. You're starting to sound like a llama named Carl. Oh no. You found out my true name. And my true form. Little pull Dumbledore, put it in a journal. So would a banishing / binding on certain thoughts be a good idea in theory? In theory, yes. Like, if you're having negative thoughts and they won't go away and you just can't get rid of them, like, that might be better to... Might be better to get rid of those thoughts. Charge them rent. Tell them who's boss. That kind of thing. Know what I mean? Edit. Yeah. You want to try to make it so that your thoughts are as positive as possible, and okay. Somebody has died outside of the house. In the game. Should mention. Game. Confused. Planning any spooky videos, spooky month? Because of the backlog on the Patreon, I don't actually have any spooky videos planned. I should have thought ahead on that one. But I didn't. So there's not. Yeah, I just forgot. Bad. Does visualization come into play for mental magic? Mental magic is 90% visualization. Straight up. It's just, it's a primarily mental visualization. Meditation ought to help with that. Observe them and just be with them. Yep. Also, do you guys know the difference between, like, what you're supposed to be doing with meditation and what people usually do with meditation? I'm asking because I know a lot of people think that meditation is you just sit there and think, and that's the exact opposite of what meditation is. Unless your name is Marcus Aurelius. If your name is Marcus Aurelius, welcome to the channel, former emperor. So yeah. No, that's reflection. Yeah. That was Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. No? I'm misremembering? Most of the time I focus on breathing. Sometimes I like to, so void. Yeah. Do you you recommend any good astrology books? Looking to pick up one or two in the coming days. Do I have any good recommendations on astrology books? That's a good question. I think that probably the best recommendation for astrology books I can really give is going to be the only astrology book you ever need. Keep in mind it is a little bit new agey and a little bit out there. And then trying to remember, there is another book that I don't remember the name of. You don't understand, Skeptic. This person is going to be our new gardener. They're going to garden. What they're going to do. We've already given them food poisoning to make them question their faith as a cannibal. Probably not helping the situation. Yeah. Yeah, the Flux, honestly, the only books you need to know about astrology, the ones in the Red Brick are pretty good. I feel like there's one called Hermetic Astrology that's pretty good. There is one thing that I'm going to recommend against, and that is going to be Hellenistic Astrology. The book specifically. Pausing here. So, there is a book written by Chris Brennan called Hellenistic Astrology. I think that the book is a really good part 2 to what Chris Brennan teaches. Alright? I think that Hellenistic Astrology is a really good part 2 book, but it is not enough to learn how to do an astrological system. By itself. It is not enough to learn a system by itself. You need other supplementary material in order to actively learn how it works and how it functions, and how to do it properly. So make of that what you will. I just wanted to get that out there, because I know a lot of people will recommend Hellenistic Astrology, and I think it's a good book, but I do not think it is a good beginner book. What you will. You need a teacher for astrology. You don't need a teacher for astrology, you just need really good books. You just need really good books, and some books are better than others, I will fully admit. Some books are good, some books are okay. Some books are decent and could be better. It is all a matter of... It's all a matter of finding the right sources. Okay, well, there's just a griffin eating this. So. It's been mentioned that I should probably add more astrology stuff to the channel. I probably will. It's just that I haven't really been thinking about it too much. I haven't really been thinking about astrology much, so I probably should do more astrology stuff, but just not a thing that I've been really having on my mind recently. Yeah. Like, you can do a lot of interesting things with astrology, and you can learn and predict a lot of really interesting things, but at the same time, astrology is... The music in this game is so calming. Yeah, that's part of the reason why I wanted to play it. Just because it's very calming, relaxing, that kind of thing. Very calming game, that's the thing. Also, while I'm thinking about it, because music reminded me of astrology, if you want to know if an astrologer is telling the truth, or if an astrologer is good at their job, look at your chart. Skeptic, we're not going to do that. We're a peaceful mining town. We're a peaceful mining town in this game. Stop it. Yeah. So, if you want to know if an astrologer is actually decent at their job, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take the time to figure out, first of all, is what they're saying going to make sense based on what your stuff is, right? Like, if they're making claims that Saturn is going to do something, and that's good, question that for a bit, right? Question that, because that in and of itself is kind of, it's kind of surprising, kind of weird. And two, if what they're saying is good and nothing good happens, check to make sure your own personal transits aren't messing something up first, and then double back around on it. What is your favorite kind of magic to do? It really depends on the day. The go-to standby is always, I like candles. Candle spells are gonna be my favorite type of magic to do overall. For reading a natal chart, where/how did you learn the weirdly specific stuff? I remember you talking about Sag Rising people having terrible eyesight and was caught off guard by that. Every Sagittarius Rising I know has bad eyesight. For the really weirdly specific stuff, you notice trends in the charts. That's what's going on. I hate candles, I hate herbs, I prefer chants like psalms, sutras, and mantras. Those are always good. But I prefer candles because I like fire, and I have triple fire. I have massive amounts of fire. Yeah, so for reading really weirdly specific stuff, if you read enough charts, you will start to notice things, and it will become a recurring pattern, and you will start to, like, identify certain things with particular traits. For example, the way you can tell somebody is going to be ridiculously tall, and this has happened in every chart that I've seen so far, ridiculously tall people, like, irregular, like their family is normal height and then they are suddenly massively tall, is going to be Jupiter retrograde in Sagittarius or ninth house. Every time. I know that's going to sound very bizarre, but that happens frequently. A healthy dose of minor. I noticed Cancer rising women are usually really beautiful. Yep, water sign women usually have that ability. Candles cost money, herbs cost money. There's a time and a place for them depending on the incantation. They can be done anytime, anywhere. I get that. Interesting. Jupiter loves to give long legs too. Yep, that's where it comes from. It's basically just Jupiter retrograde accentuates that fact. Pretty much. Going to make like a basically. Here. I'm of the opinion that people should be. It's been literally like almost a year. Did I mention that you should know how to do a money spell in the one like toolbox thing? Just purchase the complete guide on astrology. I will start there. Hopefully it works out for you. Saturn in first house or aspecting the ascendant makes people really skinny or bony. Oh yeah, it does. Straight up, it does. Saturn, well, no. The first house in general, if you have a planet in the first house, you will look like that sign. Like, you will look like that planet. As weird as that might sound. Like, if you have Venus in first house, you will look more beautiful than somebody without Venus in first house. If you have Mars in first house, you will be, like, ripped, generally speaking. Like, that will be your natural tendency. I have third problems. I need to banish some. Someone pay money. Thomas, if you can, just use Stale of Aeon. Just tack while blessing all involved, and you should be fine. That's the go-to. That's the go-to, in my opinion. Like, Magic to get out of bad situations is just like, I don't know how to solve this. God, please solve this for me. Make it so I don't need to deal with this. Megan Fox has Mars exalted in Capricorn, conjunct her ascendant. Makes her super hot, in my opinion. I mean, Mars... Capricorn is like... I don't like Capricorns. Nothing against Capricorns, but I just don't like the sign of Capricorn. Because Capricorn is one of those signs that has a bit of a reputation attached to it That being said, Mars is exalted in Capricorn, and that's probably the only sign that I think it's like actually unambiguously pretty great to have. Probably like well, I guess I just have Jupiter in my first house then, because I'm a bigger guy. You gotta be like Jupiterian jolly fat guy. That's how Jupiter works in first house. First house though. Oh no. I've already made a terrible mistake. I'm gonna get to enjoy this. Well, that's kind of how I am as in general. Kind of wish to makes sense. That just kind of makes. I have Mars, Jupiter, and Moon in the 8th house. What do you make of that? You are a very secretive person. Because just kind of how 8th house works is that's the secret house. It's secrets. Been called more than once a giant teddy bear? Yep, that sounds like Jupiter to me. Sounds very Jupiterian to me. Make affection again. I assume you're anti-liberal. Okay. Sorry about the tactical combat going on. We start talking about Mars and Capricorn, and I actually like get into a section that requires me like actively thinking about how tactics works, of course. That's how. I'm just checking my chart and I don't see anything in first house. It might be other aspects. Just keep in mind, there is more than one. Dave, what is your MBTI and what do you think about the Young theory in Magick? Which theory? What do you mean by the Young theory in Magick? Yeah. Jupiter in the first house can make somebody larger or more slow. If I remember correctly, some of the tallest people I know have that placement. is pretty interesting. Yeah, like, what is the Jung theory of magic? What is the Jung theory in magic? What do you mean? Like, the archetypes exist, or that's the collective unconscious archetypes, etc.? I mean, earlier in this, I mentioned, earlier in the stream, I mentioned the whole concept that people don't have ideas, ideas have people. Which I think is probably pretty accurate. I think that one's probably, like, very accurate, given that we kind of have proof of that one, right? When it comes to, like, archetypes and things, though, I think that's a good idea, but I think it might be a little bit of an oversimplification, perhaps. I think that archetypes definitely do exist, but I don't know if they're necessarily as cut and dry as we would think. Have you ever encountered a genius loci? What are your thoughts on them? I mean, the genius loci is just going to be like the spirit of a place, right? That's generally speaking how that's going to go. I don't think there's anything wrong with them, but I don't exactly go out of my way to work with the genius loci of places. Not because I don't want to, just because I don't really have a reason to. Things considered. Yeah. Genius locais are just going to be like the spirit of a place. That's not really something I go out of my way to work with, though I have worked with them in the past. It's interesting when that happens. Yeah. Will you ever review Jung's work? I might review the Red Book. Just as an excuse to actually read what is in that absolute mess of a book. That absolute mess of a book. And what is animism? What? Animism is just a belief that, like, everything has a spirit, isn't it? I should have gotten coffee before the stream. My lack of caffeination is showing. Animism is the idea that everything has a spirit or a soul. The grains of sand have a soul. The hairs on you. Yeah. You know, it's just... Genius loci is just taking the concept that, like, the location itself has a spirit and it has a soul and you're talking to it. That's what that is. It's fine. What is more effective, mental or physical magic? If you want something long-term, physical, like physical-based magic. If you want something to just be a quick one and done, probably mental. Probably. Like, if it has a long-term, long-lasting focus, it's going to be the, going to be physical magic is going to be better for long-term stuff. Mental magic is going to be better for short-term stuff. Just how that works. Physical implements are always going to have, like, lasting long-term power. Mental stuff is like a fleeting idea. Which is why sometimes it's better for some things and worse for others. Like, if you want long-term protection, you want physical implements, like physical talismans and that kind of thing. You don't want, like, a simple candle spell. Power geniuses distributed through the landscape? Arbitrarily. Like, generally speaking, there's like a hierarchy. So think of it like this. You're going to have a stream that goes into a river, and that river surrounds like an entire landscape, right? How would you work with the spirit of a big lake or spirit of, let's say, my backyard or garden? Okay, so the way it works is you can literally call up the genius loci of the lake. Ideally, you're going to want to be at or at least fairly close to the location. So if you're calling up the spirit of your house, do it in your house, right? Like, you can call up the genius loci and designate that you're calling up the genius loci of the particular place. The physical and mental magic are just talking about the methods or the outcomes. They are talking about the the method, right? So think of it like this. Candle spells have a physical component to them, but at the end of the day, after you've burned the candle is gone. You can't re-burn a candle. It's going to, like, it's gone, right? So that would be, in this case, mental. But if you're consecrating a talisman, that would be physical magic, because that is going to have a long-term, longer-lasting thing. Think the difference between doing a sigil versus having a tangible talisman. How do these genius spirits act as opposed to elementals or demons or planetaries? They're going to only be relevant and powerful to their location and surrounding locations. So the genius loci of your house is not going to... The genius loci of your house is going to care about how you treat your home, renovations you might want to do, that kind of thing. It is not going to care about local politics if it doesn't interfere with the state of the home. Planetaries might. Elementals might. Well, elementals only care about... Is the genius loci of your house basically your spirit landlord? No, it is the spirit. It is the house itself. Like, it is... You are... Okay. When you are interacting with the genius loci of anywhere, you are engaging with the spirit of the actual place, right? So if you deal with the genius loci of a big lake, you are dealing with the spirit of that particular lake. You are dealing with the actual spirit that rules and kind of governs that lake. Yeah. And genius loci spirits are only going to be concerned with, unless given a reason to, they're only going to care about, like, their surrounding environment. What do I think about Saint Cyprian? Recently started reading Jake Stratton-Ken's book on Cyprian and was listening to Jason Miller's talks about his Cyprian course. Guess Cyprian aids you with other spirits. I do not work with Cyprian. I do not work with Saint Cyprian at all. Everything I've talked to about Saint Cyprian, spirit-wise, has told me that Cyprian was no saint, and that Cyprian is not to be dealt with. Yeah, I don't know about the idea about the lake I'm asking about, and I don't want it because... Yeah, you can talk to the spirit of a lake, and the spirit of the lake will actually have more influence than, like, the spirit of your house, right? I can't help but imagine what the spirit of the genius loci of the White House looks like. It looks like a giant gold dragon. It looks like a gigantic gold dragon. Straight up. What are things you can do with a genius specific situations and results of such? You can ask the genius loci of your house to affect and help you with any rambunctious animals you have. You can do that. That's always good. Like, could I ask your house to get rid of mice? Or, you could... Yeah, you could actually ask the genius loci of your house to get rid of mice. You could. Oh yeah, yeah, the gold dragon concept. Yeah, people keep reporting that they keep seeing like dragons and stuff at like major political buildings, including the White House. Like if you try to astral project to the White House, you will get like questioned by spirit protection, being like, "What are you doing here?" My understanding is the reason why that exists is actually related to... It is actually related to a issue that happened back in the 70s, I think. For those of you familiar with the whole concept of the remote viewing, yeah, that's why that those exist now. Those protections exist because people started scrying CIA documents. Funny enough. How do you see the form of a genius loci? You evoke it, and then you just see what the form is. What is Saint Cyprian really, then? Saint Cyprian is a spirit to help people with magic. That's it. That's what he is. That's what he does. Nothing more, nothing more, really, nothing less. I would have imagined something like a giant bald eagle. If you evoke the spirit of the... If you evoke the spirit of America, depending on the system, he looks like a astronaut. CIA Stargate explained a lot of the remote viewing things. Yeah, so... You guys know that the remote viewing stuff is real, right? You guys know that remote viewing is both real and is just scrying? I don't need to explain that to people, right? Hopefully? I might. I don't know. I don't know. I might. I don't know. You guys want me to explain that? You guys know what remote viewing is? Do I sound like a crazy conspiracy theorist yet? Aha, I tried to hotfoot a corrupt... Yeah, no. So for those of you who don't know, there are actually unclassified documents where the military and the CIA basically explained, like, how magic works. Like, straight up. Oh yeah, the gateway process was a wild read. Oh yeah, no, it's absolutely insane. All the conspiracy theorists about remote viewing and stuff is true. It's basically just scrying. It's just scrying. They learned how to scry, and they made a military framework in order to scry things. That's what they did, right? Is it like the most out of this world new thing? No. Is it super duper like, oh my god, this changes everything? No. Also, no. Is it interesting that we now have declassified documents about how scrying works? Yes. Yeah, that's interesting. They were using remote viewing to watch me, so yes. I believe it. There was a whole movie about it, The Men Who Stare at Goats. Stranger Things? Yeah, kind of. Alright. Lol, dang. They were using... yep. Just an absolutely insane situation we have, where we have the state of affairs that we do. What's your take on the Black Frame mantras or the Ahriman stuff? I am not familiar enough to make any comment on the Ahriman stuff. It's not something I can comment on at this moment in time, because I'm not familiar enough with it. If it's any Eastern stuff or anything to do with mantras, generally speaking, I am not able to comment on it, because I don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to mantras. Straight up. How do you use thought forms? You make them and you program them correctly, and if you program them correctly, what will happen is you will have a good time where you can just go ahead and the thought form will do what you want it to, and it won't be a big issue. If you program them incorrectly, go into your ritual altar, go to your ritual circle, and destroy them and then reprogram them. What do you think about if someone was to start doing readings on the conspiracy theories? I think that'd be a terrible idea for your health, because half the time conspiracy theories are 5% truth, 90% idea taken to the logical conclusion. There's a good Carl Sagan bit, I think it's Carl Sagan, where he goes like, there's clouds on Venus. Alright, what do clouds do? They rain. Alright, what does rain make? It makes plants grow. Alright, what eats plants? Dinosaurs. Observation. Clouds on Venus. Conclusion, dinosaurs. That's what conspiracy theories do to, like, the logical conclusion. You mentioning spirit security made me think of that one G-Man from Invincible banishing a demon character. Yeah. Yeah, you can do that. Black Flame is the flame of Abaddon? It's probably trash, then. It's probably a terrible idea. Make that what you will. Generally speaking, I'm not a fan of... Yeah, I'm not a fan of that kind of stuff, geez. If you correctly work through the Tree of Life / 10 Sephirot, do you by default also work through the Qlipoth? Conclusion being the Qlipoth is pretty much irrelevant with the correct focus on the trait. You do. It's kind of like this. The Qlipoth is the shell and the most exoteric version of the spear. Okay? Thomas, please do not link things in chat. I think it blocks it, but don't do that. Don't post links in chat, please. You can tell people what to Google, though. That's fine. Then it's not a mantra? Okay. Yeah, I know mantras are like a specific thing, aren't they? Like, mantras are like a specific thing. They're not exactly like going to be generic kind of things. What about Jedi mind tricks style psionics? Ever try any mind games? I have done that. Multiple times. Multiple times, and they do function. They do function. They do work to some degree. I'm a mantra guy. I basically only do meditations from Magick. Very mental magic. Okay, yeah, I'm just checking, because I'm not, you know. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out with this black flame thing, if you're starting out, are drawn to demon worship and stuff, it's a sign of depression. I learned that the hard way. Yeah, don't work with demons. Generally, working with demons is pretty bad. I'm confused about the Qlipoth. Some traditions have said it's necessary to work through them with balance, and some say to stay away from the Qlipoth. Okay. Think of it like this. Spiritual practice is a lot like it's a lot like baking, right? When you're baking, you pull out the eggs. Do you put the eggs into the cake batter? Now, I know most people are going to say no because we're thinking of the same kind of cake, but putting the eggshells into your cake batter is what happens when you take the eggs, you break them, and you put the whole thing with the eggshell into the cake batter. That's the Qlipothic analogy I'm using today. Does that also mean that these left-hand pathers are initiating through the tree when they are just focusing on the Qlipoth? Left-hand path people are initiating through the tree, starting at Bina and working their way down. That is how that works. Probably should not use demonic incantations and ins. Goetic stuff is way more powerful, but can seriously hurt you. Goetic stuff is very powerful. Crunchy cake. Crunchy cake, yes. I noticed that people who work with demons often look unhealthy or depressed. Is there a correlation here? Yes, there is a correlation. It's because demonic energy is not good. There's, yeah. Yeah, no. Demons are going to be, like, negative energy beings. By negative energy, I mean, like, chthonic, underworldly energy. They're not, like, wholesome sunshine and light entities, I guess. It's a good way to put it. Could people have demonic attachments on them and not be aware of it? Oh, yeah. You can have, like, spirit attached to you. And if you're not doing your, you know, if you're not doing the prayers and you're not doing the banishings, you're not getting rid of them. And if you're not getting rid of them, that's a whole problem in and of itself, right? One of the reasons why the post-Golden Dawn occultists had such a focus on banishing, I think. It's because you just had so much invoke, evoke, all that stuff that it just became a case of they needed to, like, banish everything as kind of a cost measure. If you were to do left-hand step path, go learn Tantra, start where the concept began. Yeah, pretty much. My understanding is Tantra has better left-hand path stuff than, Tantra has better left-hand path stuff than the Western system does, because, like, the demons in the Western system are literally, like, evil spirits who are, like, basically just evil, angry servants. Comes to the end of the day. Do you think that there are activities that humans are doing that cause the creation of more spirit parasites? Yes. It just seems like recent years have ridiculous rates of depression, general lack of energy. Yes, there is stuff related to that. I'm not going to go into it here, but yes, I do believe that. Certain human activities are partially to blame for the downright excessive rise in spirit parasites as of late when it comes to things like that. What exactly is the left-hand path all about? Do they work with darker entities? They work with darker entities who are, like, outright said to be bad. Like, they work with, like, demons and things. And there's different flavors of it, but it's all in a... Okay. There's two ways of spiritual progression. There's you are trying to ascend to God, and there is you are trying to become God. And I've mentioned this in a previous live stream, I believe, where these are functionally the same after you get to a certain point, but they are trying to do it from reverse. But yeah. Like, they're working from the darkness first and trying to become the light. But people are, you know, the right-hand path is all about, like, climb up to the light type of thing. So, yeah. Think of that what you will. Yeah. Kundalini is all you need to know of Tantra. Go through Kundalini Awakening, then forget the Tantra stuff. Most of the Hindu stuff is just demonic, literally. I'm not getting into Tantra. One of the interesting things about having this channel and, like, talking basically into the internet, really, is that I have this wonderful audience. My audience is great. You guys introduced me to a lot of concepts that, under normal circumstances, I would never, ever look into. But at the same time, it's still weird enough to where I'm not going to look into it. Sorry. Because it's not really a me thing. Sense. Hopefully that makes sense to people. It's just not my cup of tea. to speak. If I invoke fire element using the LBRP, you'd be using the LIRP for that, but yes. Would that be sufficient for... If I invoke the element of fire, will the LBRP be sufficient for banishing the element of fire? Okay, I misread that question completely. I apologize. If I invoke Venus or Mars, will the LBRH suffice for clearing those energies? Yes, for the LBRP, can confirm that one. I've never tried to just banish things with just the LBRH before. I've always done, like, the full planetary banishing regardless. But at the same time, I would probably use both. I originally thought it was a matter of incomplete thought forms, but that doesn't seem right. Perhaps more improperly formed. Yep, there is a section on there is a section on spiritual parasites in the occultic manual that should be going up later this month. It'll probably be at like the 16th. It'll be out probably the 18th, he says, checking his schedule. Do you like peppermint tea? I have not had peppermint tea in a while, but I do like peppermint tea, yes. Peppermint tea is quite nice. My favorite tea, for those wondering, for the tea enthusiasts, my favorite tea is actually lemon ginger. Lemon ginger tea is going to be my favorite. Where do I get good tea? A lot of tea in the store is contaminated. I live in America. I don't know. If I knew where to get good tea, I would live in, like, England or something. I've learned that we only have the bad kind of tea here. So... I don't really know what to tell you, other than... unfortunately, we do not have good tea in my country. Yeah. Yeah, that's a nice tea. Favorite tea? Grow it yourself? That's a good way. Yeah. Grow and brew it yourself? That's probably, like, actually the best way to do it, right? What is this game called? This is Rimworld. Can't no backyard. Unfortunately, you're going to have to get the contaminated tea from the tea store. Unfortunately. What is the best life we can hope to lead? What is the best life we can live to keep negative entities away from us? Be unreasonably happy. Go out in the sun regularly. And don't actively try to hurt people. And try to be as happy as possible. Genuinely happy as possible. Best life. Yep. Could use water bucket, hydroponics, water gardening. You could. I can tell you how to avoid bad things. Be grateful what you have. Mind your own business, and the work will flow. Stop trying to control things. Basically, just live like the Stoics, like, right? Like that really is the way to do it, I think. It really is just live like the Stoics say. So be happy. Think you're. I wouldn't say think you're on drugs, because those, you know, that can be a problem in and of itself, but you should try to be happy and all that stuff. Trying to be happy is, like, the important part. Being happy, laughing, smiling, having a good time, and getting lots of vitamin D and, like, being around solar things is usually the premise. That's usually the way you want to do. Any chance I can with you with STA? Don't know what that means. Dave, I threw every single question I could possibly think at you tonight. I'll save a few more for next time. Thank you for your time. I'm out. Good night. Take it easy, Flux. Straightforward issues again, just yes or no. I don't even know what that means. I buy from Tea and Absinthe online. They're US based. The only thing I don't like about them is they're super heavy into nerdy / fandom stuff. Oh god, that's... Their concoctions are superb, in my opinion. I mean, I'm willing to buy from nerdy tea stores because I feel like hot leaf juice is already pretty nerdy in and of itself, right? Having another absent-minded professor moment, but I'm here. Welcome in, Chris. Bless your water and food and all the things. A good black tea? I like Earl Grey tea, if you're looking for black teas. Earl Grey tea, for a period of my life, was the thing I used to replace coffee with. Is working with solar energy best for making your aura brighter and more open? Yes, but it lights you up in the astral plane, so you're much more noticeable. Much more noticeable is part of the point of being solar. Yes, but I like to be hidden. Is there anything wrong with the consumption of meat? It seems like it's always vegan diets for purification, or is there another reason? Well, it's actually Daniel fast for purification is my understanding, and the reason why you would use the Daniel fast is because the Daniel fast is going to lead you to... The Daniel fast is going to lead you to much more higher spiritual purity, and it's basically vegan plus. Because you're not allowed to eat anything pleasurable. Which includes things like sweet things. Or fruits. Like modern fruits are apparently banned. You absorb the karma of what you eat. It's mostly a case of you don't want the density, because there is a spiritual density to eating meat. What do spirits, especially angels, say about religion? It depends on the religion. It depends on the religion. Pretty sure you can still eat fruit on the Daniel fast, but it's subject to debate. It's supposed to be... It's not supposed to be anything pleasurable, though. That's the thing. So I guess you can eat, like, lemons. Unless you like lemons. If you like lemons, then you're in trouble. But, you know, make that what you will. What's the difference between banishing and exorcism? Technically speaking, exorcism is your binding them to an oath. So technically, demonic evocation is actually a form of exorcism. Banishing is you're just kicking stuff out. That's what's going on there. So make that what you will. But generally speaking, that's going to be the difference. So yeah. So is suffering the path to purification? You want spirits... Okay. Suffering is not the path to purification. It is self-restriction is the path to purification. So, what I mean by self-restriction is you are purposefully restricting yourself from doing other things, right? Could someone have done demonic invocation in an attempt to curse you? I mean, they could call up a demon to curse you, yes. But yeah. I ask because I generally feel my best when I go into a full carnivorous diet. It depends on the person. Like, it depends on the person. It depends on what's going on. Sometimes that is for the best. Sometimes that is not for the best. It all depends. I can't remember the name of it, but there's a Buddhist diet where you go vegan and can't eat any plants if it kills them. No garlic, onions, etc. That would probably be... Yeah, so that Buddhist diet would probably be like the advanced version. Invoking a demon to curse you is not the best way to go. I mean, evoking a demon to curse people is usually pretty bad in of itself, because, like, here's the situation for all of you. Here's why you shouldn't use demons to curse people. You ready? You use a demon to curse somebody. You curse Billy Bob Bobilly, right? That's the person we're cursing. The curse target is Billy Bob Bobilly. And Billy Bob has already bound the demons of the Goetia to serve him and to never cause him harm. He has bound all 72. And so the demon goes to Billy Bob and says, "Hey, Billy Bob Bobilly. Freighter Billy Bob Bobilly. This guy is trying to curse you, and he has asked me to fuck up your day. You know what's gonna happen? Billy Bob is gonna fuck you up. Metaphorically speaking. He's gonna, like, get that demon to go, like, okay, well, if you didn't bind that demon, then Billy Bob is gonna have that demon come and mess up your day. And that's just kind of what's gonna happen. So yeah. Not exactly a good situation to be in, I would say. There's worse situations to be in, but, you know. Think of that what you will. I would generally say you don't want to be on the other end of a freighter Billy Bob's exorcisms and freighter Billy Bob's curses, because he might not use the demons of the Goetia to curse you. You don't know what he's got, but he knows that you tried to curse him, which means you are fair game in terms of justice spells, which is a thing in and of itself. Spavtik, I think there's a W. Spavtik is the diet's name. I feel like that diet in and of itself would be pretty potent. Or the diet where you can't eat anything that kills a plant would be pretty useful in terms of what you're trying to do. Like, you know, when you're trying to go ahead and you're using it for, like, purification. Can people do suicide magic that will cause their own death? I've always been curious about that. No comment. No comment. I do not believe that is possible. You should not do that. People attacked usually don't know who attacked them, but are still able to cast reversal since the only identifier they need is the practitioner who tried to curse me. Right. What I'm saying here is that, like, if you're doing magic to curse people and the spirits really like the person you're trying to curse, they might try to mess you up. You don't even need to, but I think you got your terms mixed up. What about the purple who ends up supporting the... But the people who ends up supporting the one doing the cursing because of lies. I mean, then they're an accessory. Or it depends on how you phrase the justice spell. Would prolonged fasting be better for purification? Yes, it would. Prolonged fasting is usually better. Spiritual fasting is usually the best. Generally speaking, I would say. Generally speaking. Yes, you can drive people to suicide. Bad idea to parasites. Vampire. Yeah. I choose not to talk about that kind of stuff on the stream. I choose not to talk about vampires and the other stuff that cause anxiety attacks, because, yeah. Because it's kind of annoying to deal with, and I don't want to talk about the vampires. I don't want to talk about the fact that they exist a little bit, on some level. Terms mixed up. I'm talking to... Oh yeah, that's a little bit messed up. I think the terms there are a little bit messed up, but... How long have we been going for? Been going for like 2.5 hours? Just under? Okay. I'm gonna give it like 10 minutes. We're gonna cap the stream at 10:30. So we're gonna give it like 12 more minutes. Just because that's what we're gonna do. I feel like I've been really good at exhausting questions recently, I feel like. Also, same advice about cursing. It's dumb. It just backhanded blessing. Yeah, like we talked about last stream. Just backhanded blessing. It's much better. Much easier. Much more useful. Because it actually solves the fucking problem. What would you rather do? Make somebody more mad at you? Or get rid of the problem? I would rather get rid of the problem. That's me, though. I feel like everyone should want to get rid of problems. But once again, that might just be me. Maybe I'm the only one who wants to get rid of problems. If that's the case, I'm confused. Can a genius loci prevent evil from happening to you in your house? Your genius loci can become a protective spirit. It can. If it likes you, it can protect you from negative situations that might arise from hostile entities trying to mess you up when you're in your house. Hello, are we in topic? Opera, we're ending the stream in like 10 minutes. Welcome in, Opera. But at the same time, no, we are not on topic at all. We're 2 hours in, Opera. We never are on topic for more than an hour. I think I've timed it. The shortest we've been on topic is like 30 minutes. The longest we've been on topic is like an hour and a half. Depends. Ways to deal with people without cursing justice. Ask a higher power to judge. Yep. What I might do is tomorrow I might pop into the I don't want peace, I want problems always. That's amazing. Yeah. What I might do is tomorrow I might pop into the community Discord. Just pop into the voice chat, say hi. Sit there. Play video games. Game. Enjoy. Answer questions. Jesus versus Metatron, all-out war for the throne of heaven. Who you got and why? Off topics to the max. Alright, that's a meme. Remember the other stream you mentioned the idea? Yeah, I'll probably, like, pop in tomorrow. Work with Kali, she'll give you problems. Nothing good has ever come from working with Kali in an unstructured way. How can you know if spirits like a person? How is it possible to make spirits like you more? If you don't... Okay, it's kind of like incense and stuff, right? If you have the wrong incense, spirits aren't going to like it. If you are the wrong kind of energy, spirits aren't going to like you. The only way that you can actually make that happen is that you can change your energy and then spirits might like you more or less. Are there points of blurring the line between physical... During the actual ritual of consecrating the holy sword in the Golden Dawn ritual, yes. Or like using a talisman as a focus to make sure only positive things happen. That kind of thing. Like, using a talisman as a focus would be probably the best example of it. Alright. Okay. Alright, we have our cheery little mountain base here. We have our cheery little mountain base. We're slowly but surely... Well, we're not converting that, really. What book do you recommend about bindings? There really isn't a specific book on bindings. What you're going to want to do, Opera, is going to crack open Agrippa Book 1, and you're going to go into the very last section where he's talking about magic, and you're going to go into the section on bindings, and you're going to use that for inspiration. And then you're going to think of, like, what's the best way to do bindings. What do you think about pathworking? There is a video on pathworking that is going to be live on YouTube in a couple of weeks. Straight up. There's going to be a video on this topic coming soon. And I apologize for uploading the video late today. I forgot to hit the thing that does that. I'll remember next week. Don't worry. I guess it's just like people and animals, the more they like or dislike you based on energy and respect. Yeah, no, it really is that. Like, certain animals are going to like certain people based on their energy. Certain spirits are going to like people more or less based on their energy. It's just kind of how it works. It's not a big deal. It's not really, like... Very rarely is a spirit going to tell you to fuck off. But if a spirit does tell you to fuck off, you know, there's usually a reason for it, and it's usually because you don't really mesh with their energy, and that's going to happen. It's just going to happen. Very, I know very good occultists, and I know very bad occultists. They've all had this problem. All had, at one point or another, yeah, they go ahead, and they end up having their situation where, yeah, no, it just doesn't work out. What is pathworking? Pathworking is when you are astral projecting through the paths. It is where you are astral projecting through the paths. Usually you'll grow on the spirit of your home. Usually, yeah. And keep in mind, there's like a hierarchy for genius loci as well, right? So keep that in mind. It's going to be a whole thing there. Drag a demon out of hell and bind them. They might not like you for it. But if you keep giving them jobs they like, even if they're like good jobs, like make sure good things happen to this person. Really piss them off with the good things though. Like bless the shit out of this person. Make it so they get a raise and get really frustrated that too many good things are happening to them. The demon might like you for that. If you like get the demon on backhand blessing duty, that'd be pretty good, right? That's a good idea. All right. I feel like that's like a really good idea. I don't know. Is that a good idea? Am I crazy for thinking that's a good idea? I might be. I might be crazy about thinking that's a good idea. But I do. I think it's a good idea. Curse of imposter syndrome, exactly. Your life is perfect. Aren't you happy? It's like, no, I'm not happy. There was a, it was a show, movie thing, right? And the like, the inciting incident for the problem was, after the events of the show, all of the characters had been bought their ideal lives, and they were all fucking miserable because of it. What's a good way to get Jupiter spirits to like you? Go listen to ZZ Top's Sharp Dress Man, and that is a good starting point. Living the Sharp Dress Man philosophy. What's a good idea? I didn't catch that. Getting demons to backhanded blessing people. Just send their imposter syndrome into overdrive. Alright, I'm gonna do the typical thing I do. We're gonna take a few more questions and then I'm gonna wrap up the stream. This has been a good stream, I think. Should I just talk about Jupiter spirits next stream? In the Patreon exclusive I listed today, I did a statement of intent for Money Spell, which is like the most lazy, low effort money spell I could possibly think of. So, if you're looking for a money spell, there's one on the Patreon. Or not one on the, not a money spell, but like a statement of intent for like the laziest possible money spell you could do. Like actually. That's there. What are some uses for names of God? Invocation, veneration, prayer, devotion, that kind of thing. Everything has a plus and a minus. I mean, the pro is that you're blessing them. The con is that you're blessing them with, and they have imposter syndrome, right? I guess it's not like an objectively good thing, but it isn't like an objectively bad thing either. So, I don't know. It's a thought. Just throwing that out there. I don't think it's necessarily the best or worst idea. But it is an idea. Keeps him busy with blessing people. Is the name of a god. You can chant it 3 million times and you get power and control over vampires. But if I just do solar breathing, I can fight the vampires using really cool kung fu. And I can just channel the sun through my fists and kill them. Alright. I'm not seeing any more questions. Alright, so I'm just going to wrap it up here. I have been Dave the Amateur Magus. Thank you all for coming out to the stream. Oh, wait. Would you post the hierarchy of the Genius Loci? I'll post it somewhere. I'll post it somewhere. I might just do like a quick post on the Discord. I might just do like a quick post on the Discord. I might just send it to you. I'll send it to you, Maddie. It's fine. Yep. Intimidate the vampire by shouting "Ohm" at them. You could do that, probably. I'd see it. I believe it. Yeah. Alright, so. Once again, I have been Dave the Amateur Magus. Thank you all for coming out to the live stream. And for those of you watching the VOD, thank you for watching the VOD up to this point. Even if you did watch it at 2 times speed, because I know some people do that. It's totally fine. These are long videos. Thank you all for coming out here. Thank you for watching the videos. Thanks for the continued support. And hope you're having a good day. If you're not having a good day, hope your time on the stream made your day a little bit better. Or if you're watching the VOD, hope your time watching the VOD made your day a little bit better. Take it easy, and take care. For those of you who are regulars on the stream, I will see you Thursday. Because we're doing it again Thursday. I don't know what we're doing next Thursday. I don't have a title. But we'll figure it out. So yeah, take it easy. Take care.